Hello, Foundations of Learning class. This is your instructor, Larry Asplund. You know, I just had an idea to try to do a little video that deals with the issue of MLA formatting guidelines as used in Microsoft Word. I recognize that the weakness of doing this is that not all of you are using Microsoft Word, and some of you may be using a different version of the one I am using. So I'm using Word 2016. It's just part of the Office 365 subscription that I pay $9.99 a month for. So with that in mind, you know, one of the problems with using Word for MLA documents is that the default settings don't conform to MLA. So you will notice right away that when you start a new document, you have a Calibri 11 point and you need a 12 point, probably something clearer than that. Of course, the default is a 1-inch margin on all sides, so that you definitely need. Also, there's a line spacing issue. So let me kind of do this little by little. You're going to want to change probably to New Times Roman, something like that, Times New Roman, and then 12 point. To really have an MLA, friendly kind of a document. And then you're going to want to do a double space, but there's an extra thing. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to click double space, but there's a line spacing option. Notice the line spacing options. And the problem with the default settings in Word is that you have eight points after every time you complete a paragraph or a sentence or whatever. If you hit a hard break, if you hit the enter button, and so that's going to make it more than double space. That's going to make a double space plus 8 points. So you're going to want to go down and you see the little menu and just click it. I mean, you can go in and type 0. I just click it there. You want everything set before and after to 0, and that way you will get consistent double spacing in every aspect of your document. Putting in the header can be a little bit of an issue. You're going to have to go up to the Insert tab, and you will, here it comes. Did I click it? And you're going to want to do your header. So it's just, it needs to be on the far right, flush right. And so it will give me some options. I'm working online, so it sometimes takes a little while. I'm actually just going to put it flush left, and I'm going to use the home to, hopefully this will tab over. Yes, it will. So put your last name. Once you get over to the flush left, you're going to run 1 inch from the right. It needs to be a ½ an inch down from the top, so make sure your settings. I did notice, I think, one paper that had the header 1 inch from the top, so make sure it's a ½ inch from the top. Then you're going to type in your last name. Let me just type in my last name. And then you can't then insert a page number, because if you do, it will replace your name. So that's where, at least in these later versions of Word, it takes a little bit more than that. And so you're going to need to come to, let me make sure I get it the proper place. You're going to need to insert an object. And that's going to involve inserting a field. It's going to be a page number field, but it will enable you to, see, I messed that up. Sorry guys, I paused to make sure I was not leading you astray. So this is where you want to insert, explore quick parts. You're going to click that and insert the field. That's where the field option is. And then you will go down to, I'm going to scroll down just a page. See the page object, and I want it to do in Arabic numerals. So I'm going to select that, and then I will select OK. And that's going to then follow, page 2 will be page 2. Once again, if you insert your header and then insert a page number in the, in the normal way that you would insert a page number, it's going to erase your header. So it's going to be one of the others. So, you know, that's kind of tricky with Word to make sure that you get that right. And then on the upper left, once again, you are doing double spacing consistently throughout your document. So on the upper left, you will put your name, and I'm just going to put mine. You see, I've got Times New Roman 12, double space, then the instructor's name, and then, you know, Foundations of Learning, the name of the course. And then, of course, the date. So, you know, this is September the 5th. And double space. Now, again, you don't do any more than 2 spaces, because then you're going to center it, you know, and you're going to come over and you're going to talk about maybe your resilience essay or whatever it is. And then double space, go back to flush left. And then tab it over. You know, I've made the mistake of commenting on some of your papers that you want to indent 5 spaces. Well, that depends on what kind of spaces you have set. It's best to tab it over to make sure that it's a 1/2 of an inch. And so the first line of every paragraph is to be that 1/2 of an inch. Just use the tab. And remember, just continue to use your double spacing consistently throughout. Another thing real quickly, when you're doing in-text documentation, it's very, very simple. Just the last name of the author and the page number, and that's it. So it's not more complicated than that. You don't need to type in, you know, P period or whatever it is. Just the last name and the page number. So MLA is really designed to be the simplest, most user-friendly. I think we can make it more complicated, but it's best that we not. Then when we come down, I'm going to just do a Control-Enter to start a new page. You want your works cited page to be at the top of its own page. And double spacing, then, you never do more than double spacing. So I'm going to go over to the left, and you'll remember your bibliographic entries start at flush left, you know, and so you go Smith, etc., you know, and you just, but when you do a second line, and there's no need to press the enter button, because when you come all the way over to the right, of course, and I'm just going to kind of do some, just to take some space, you know. When you come all the way over to the right, it's going to automatically go down, and that's not what I wanted it to do. I'm going to do a space, and then I'm going to do more. Let's see, it automatically goes down. And then from second line, third line, if you have that much, you want to indent a 1/2 of an inch. Now, by the way, there's a trick. I like to use my keyboard shortcuts whenever possible, just because, you know, it takes less work. But one of the things you can do, rather than, you know, you can come over here to the beginning of the line and you can hit the tab button. Or if you want that to be consistent in case you get a third line, you can do Control-T, and it automatically does a hanging indent. That's what that's called. So, you know, there's always these little tricks to use when you're working on Microsoft Word. I thought I would just come by with some, you know, a quick tutorial. I'm also going to reference a specific page in Purdue University's online writing lab, which I think you will find very helpful. These are, you know, it can be, you know, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal when it comes to academic writing is that this will always affect your grade, and it's not complicated. Once you figure it out, it's very, very easy. Now, I hate to tell you, if you're working on a Mac, Macs don't convert well. Those documents don't convert well. And if you try to convert it to a Word, it's going to mess it up. Formatting is going to be all over the place. So if you're using a Mac, I would recommend, once it's formatted properly, you save it as a PDF. A PDF is just a graphic image of that page. And that works fine for us, you know. So that's the best way if you're working on a Mac to make sure you don't lose any of your format. Anyway, I thought it would do something real practical. Hopefully it's helpful to some of you. God bless you, everybody. We'll talk to you later.